Hello everyone, thank you for the opportunity given to me so I can present our research paper here. The title is Development of Assessment Instrument Through Quizzes for the 9th Grade Students at SMPN 44 Surabaya. The abstract. The purpose of this study was to create an assessment instrument that meets the eligibility criteria as the learning needs, as well as to develop appropriate English learning materials for the 9th grade student at SMP Negeri 44 Surabaya in the academic year 2020-2021. This research was conducted by the research procedure as proposed by Gell et al. 2003. The first step was to conduct the need analysis, the results of which were used to create the syllabus. The syllabus served as a guidance of developing the first draft of the material used in conducting of the assessment via quizzes. The first draft was then reviewed by a learning material expert. Then the materials evaluation results were then analyzed using descriptive statistics and used to revise the first draft of the materials. The unit of English materials used as the assessment instruments are the results of this research. Based on the materials evaluation of the content and language presentation and also the layout of the assessment materials are appropriate and were classified as good criteria. Well, for the introduction, the flow of globalization's environment issues, English learning is currently experiencing advance in technology and information. The rise of creative industries and cultures, and the development of educational challenge. As English is becoming the foundation of all fields of science and is the foundation for the advancement of science and technology, as quoted by Chahya et al. 2020. As we know, current technological advancement provide numerous benefits that can be used for a variety of purposes, one of which is learning media. Educational development, as well as technological advance, are currently proliferating in Indonesia. Learning evaluation is one of the essential elements in education that currently opens to technological expansion. Evaluation here represents as a massive role in teaching learning process. Of course, the value would be formed by judgment, educational status, or achievement of students, which helps teachers and learners to improve teaching and learning. Assessment is part of the evaluation in teaching and learning that is defined as a well-organized basis for making interference about the student learning development. According to Webb and Gibson 2015, digitally enhanced assessment include an authentic learning experience using digital media, ongoing and unobstructed performs learning and knowledge measurement. A highly detailed and high-resolution data record that is analyzed and displayed computationally and real-time access by students and teachers. In learning process, assessment is usually held at the end of the lesson. In conducting the assessment, a teacher should consider many aspects in determining the final scores of students, and the teacher should also pay attention as a subset of evaluation and has to be done by teachers to assess and evaluate students' learning achievement related to the impact of technology that has increasingly grown in education over time, where and leads to the new learning perspective, approaches and context as assessed by Coulton 2016 in Wulandari et al. In 2019. In this research, researchers use and investigate the quizzes application as the assessment tools. Quizzes is a fun multiplayer classroom activity that allows students to practice together using their computer, smartphone, or iPad. Multiple choice question with 2, 3 or 4-point answers will appear on each student's screen in quizzes so that they can answer the questions as quickly as possible and review their response at the end, as it is stated by Nursifalala Nugrara and Salsabila, 2021. In addition, Quizzes also has Google Classroom integration and can be embedded and sent to the student since the links have already been authenticated and linked to the student's school's emails. Related to the explanation mentions, this research introduces a technology-enhanced assessment system which goes beyond just combining existing assessment system for both skills and knowledge learning assessment. The goal of this paper is to produce an assessment instrument that meets the eligibility criteria as the learning needs and to develop appropriate English learning materials for the ninth grade students at SMP Negeri 44 Surabaya in the academic year 2020-2021. Now, I'm going to present the methodology used in this research. This research employed a research and development methodology with the goal of developing a new assessment instrument that meets the eligibility criteria as the learning needs and develops appropriate English learning materials for the 9th grade students at SMP Negeri 44 Surabaya. The research procedures was adapted from the Gall et al. 2003 R&D model. Unstructured interviews and observations were used as a data collection technique. The research method used in this development research was described as follows. First, the first stage involved conducting interviews and observations, which were followed by identifying and analyzing various needs in order to determine the appropriate problems, solutions, and products, such as need analysis, curriculum analysis, subject matter analysis, and student characteristic analysis. The second stage entitled Developing the Product Concept or Design, as well as the associate instrument such as the preparation of research instrument and the preliminary design of learning media. The third stage entitled Developing a Product in the form of an assessment learning tools and preparing the data collection, and then the fourth stage involved implementing school-based learning product. For the implementation, product testing, which is conducted limited, and then followed by the main field testing, and learning assessment tool analysis, including the validity analysis, effectiveness analysis, and practically analysis we use. The information gathering during the implementation, it was examination of the validity, practicability, and effectiveness of learning media, whereas the score 1 is very poor, score 2 is poor, and then score 3 is good enough, score 4 is good, and then score 5 is very good. The research on the development quizzes as assessment tool for English learning include 4 experts, 2 media expert and 2 material expert. The research data set include both qualitative and quantitative information. The result of the expert team test assessment yielded qualitative data, while the result of the initial field test yielded quantitative data. A theoretical validation sheet was used to collect qualitative data. The theoretical validity sheet consists of a series of Likert scale questions, so the team of the expert only gave checklist marks on the 1 for the invalid, 2 for the less valid, and then 3 simply valid, and the 4 which is categorized into the valid, and then 5 is very valid. In the available column, according to the assessment, then gave the conclusion by circling one of the options of LD or feasible to use, LDP, possible to use with improvement, or TDL, not worth using. As is seen on the table 2, theoretical validity sheet assessment instrument result of development.
Result and discussion. The goal of this development research was to develop an assessment instrument that meets the suitability criteria as well as the learning needs, as well as appropriate English learning material for the 9th grade student of SMPN 44 Surabaya in the academic year 2020-2021. Validity criteria ensure the assessment instrument feasibility, as it is claimed by Kartawagiran et al. 1999, the theoretical and empirical quality of assessment instrument can be seen as the result of the research, and in line with Noviana et al. 2016, they argued if the assessment instrument meets the validity criteria of the valid material aspect, the valid construction aspect, and the valid language aspect, it is designated as the assessment instrument. The expert conducted the materials aspect test to determine the material feasibility of the assessment instrument. In this research, material validity was defined as the alignment of instrument material with learning indicators. The validity of the instrument material was related to the suitability and competence representation that student must achieve in order for the instrument improvement process to be completed. Hendriadi, 2014. According to Matondang, 2009, in order to obtain an acceptable quality question device, it is necessary to examine the question or relevation of the instrument. Assessment instrument must be tested in construction in addition to meeting the material validity eligibility criteria. Sugiono, 2011. The item composition can be used to determine the validity level of an instrument construction. The quality of criteria validity of the assessment instrument construction aspect can be tested by referring to the writing or providing the questions, as well as assessing expert teams. In terms of the expert team assessment result, the assessment instrument construction aspect of the development result show a validation achievement of 89 to 90%. This data demonstrated that the construction aspect of the categorized instrument were very valid. Ratumanan et al. 2009, and revealed that the development assessment instrument had met or exceeded the eligibility criteria for suitable or accepted assessment instruments. Language validity. According to Rahayu et al. 2014, should be considered when developing an assessment instrument. Language validity aims to determine the accuracy of language usage in instrument devices. Furthermore, if assessment instruments such as good-oriented assessment instrument require a high level of reasoning, the language used in the assessment instrument must also be communicative in accordance with Indonesian grammar and spelling rules, as well as the student level of development. In terms of the language aspect of a good assessment instrument, the development of a term of expert provided for improvement so that students can easily understand the questions and answer as are clear. The expert team's evaluation result on the instrument language aspect show a validation achievement of 86.50 to 97%, means that the instrument was categorized as very valid. Ratumanan et al. 2009. As a result, the development result assessment instrument was stated to have eligibility criteria as a good assessment instrument. Noviana et al. 2016. According to the validation result in Table 3, the percentage of material rate aspect done by the expert was 88.50 to 95%. Construction aspect was 86 to 90%, and the rate aspect of language use was 86.50 to 97%. The data show that the validity level of learning assessment via quizzes application met very valid criteria and could be used without revision because the percentage obtained was greater than 85%. The development result yielded very good validation result from expert, indicating that the assessment instrument of learning media via quizzes application was feasible to use with very good criteria.
Conclusion. Based on the findings of the research and development, it was possible to conclude that the assessment instrument of the development results of the quizzes applications for the 9th grade students at SNPN 44 Surabaya met the eligibility criteria for a very good assessment instrument, which was the validity of the theoretical aspects of the material in the very valid category. Categorized construction was very valid, and the language aspect was very valid. Regarding to the rate of the aspect of the material, it was 88.50 to 95%. The constructions aspect was 86 to 90%, and the rate aspect of language use was 86.50 to 97%. It was found that the results of the development of learning media of the assessment were feasible to be used. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kindly attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.